What's going on, everybody? This is Born, a Fans View Sports, reality sports show from the fans to the fans, and we're posted up right here in Jamestown, North Carolina at Ragsdale High School in preparation for an interview with Coach Tommy Norwood. Hey, this is an exciting time for high school football sports in this area, and this is our featured segment called Friday Night Boom. We have a proud privilege of presenting to you one of the Triad's most elite coaches, one of the most long tenured coaches in this area, if not the longest tenured coach in this area, Coach Tommy Norwood, for our segment of Friday Night Boom. Coach Norwood, thank you once again for joining us and taking the time to interview with us. How are you, sir?
I'm just fine, and thank you for coming to Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Coach, for those who may not necessarily know you, who may have followed your program some but have not had a chance to meet you on an interpersonal basis, can you please introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, this is our 30th year in education and coaching, my 25th year as a head coach. This is my 13th year as a head coach at Ragsdale. I was at Southeast Guilford for 12 years before that, and as an assistant here at Ragsdale for 3, so that's the last 28 years.
All right. And if I'm not mistaken, Coach, I believe you also received the award for last year's Piedmont 4A Triad Coach of the Year?
Yeah, and a whole lot of kids had a whole lot to do with that, and a bunch of assistant coaches. They had probably more than I did.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, Coach, we're going to kind of dive right into it. We're going to talk about the football season, and I guess the first thing that some of the fans want to know is, how are you going to replace, according to reports, you lost 25 seniors last year, which is a healthy number of leadership and experienced players. How do you plan on supplementing that and filling those voids as far as the loss of those individuals?
Well, some days I wonder how we're going to do it ourselves, even at this point in time.
Right.
But really, we've got another pretty strong senior class with around 20 in that class as well. That's kind of typical for us. We have over 115 kids out for football with varsity and JV, so all of our classes are going to be large, but we've just got to get some kids to step up in that leadership role. That's been the biggest thing right now, that the Billy Stones, the Walt Sparks, the Daniel McNeils, and the list goes on and on. Somebody's got to fill those shoes, and hopefully some of these juniors will. And naturally, our quarterback, Luke Hefner, he's done a lot of that as leadership, even last year as a junior.
Right, that's awesome. And also the loss of Deshaun Anderson, I believe, is going to be missed as well. I think he was one of your primary playmakers.
Yeah, Deshaun had been around athletics all his life. His daddy's one of our assistant coaches, and he just simply knew how to make plays, and he was always a guy you could count on.
Right. Now, Coach, let me ask you, going forward into this season, as far as your offense and defensive line, you know, there's always different spins on how you win ball games, what the mentality and what the focus areas are for your team to improve and have the same sustained success as years past. What are your key areas, in your opinion, that the team needs to focus on in order to have continued success?
Well, we've got to really improve on our offensive defensive line, as you just mentioned.
Okay.
Offensive line, we only have one starter back, really, and that's our right tackle, Andy Willard. On defense against Southern Guilford, our first game, a lot of times the only person that played defensive line that was out there was Grant DeJarnis. And several times we had a lot of 10th graders out there. So we've got to have some kids that's going to step up and grow up real quick.
That's right.
Especially with our schedule that we've got.
Absolutely. Now, and you mentioned leadership before when you were speaking of seniors stepping up to the plate and kind of carrying the torch from last year's seniors. Can you describe what the expectations are from Hefner this year, being the quarterback, and him being, I guess, the primary leader as a senior on the football team?
Well, he's got to be the coach on the field as well, not only through his performance, but also by motivating them and just kind of being the leader, the positive role model, because there's going to be things that happen negative in every game.
Right.
And he's got to be able to handle that, because since he's the quarterback, some of those negative things are going to come from him. But he's got to be able to play the next play and forget the last one, and then be able to pat people on the back when they make something.
That's right. And I believe you also have Deonovan Smith, who's returning. Any expectations or things that you're looking for him to do as well?
Yeah, Deonovan's got to do a great job as our tailback. He's a 3-year starter. He rushed for over 1,000 for 2 straight years, and he's got to be a guy who in crunch time is going to carry the load.
Absolutely. Now the season has already kicked off, so you know we're here talking about things going forward, and when you spoke to us the last time, you mentioned to us that no game is ever small in a coach's eyes. But of course, from a fan's perspective, you know, they're looking at the schedule and they're saying, okay, what are some of the big games in their mindset that they want to see? Of course, we know one of your more storied rivals is Southwest Guilford, and Dudley has become a more recent rival based on the implications of you guys playing in the past. Can you talk about the history of both of those two rival schools?
Well, we had not played Dudley, or Ragsdale had not played Dudley for many years. When I was at Southeast Guilford, we used to open up and be our first game since the two schools bordered each other.
Right.
But 2 years ago in the playoffs, both of us were undefeated, and Dudley ended up defeating us and went on to win the state championship, I believe it was. And,
right.
and then last year, we defeated them in the regular season. Then they beat us once again in the playoffs. And those 2 years, the only losses we've had has been to Dudley, and the only regular season loss they've had in several years has been to us. So, I think it's two programs that really are rich in tradition,
right.
that are fortunate enough to be having good seasons back to back for a long time, and
right.
and I think both of them respect each other. I know our staff really respects Coach Davis and his staff. They do a great job along with all their players, and hopefully come Friday night, and we'll be able to stand up and do the very best we can.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, I have no doubt in my mind that the boys will be ready. And before we go, can you also just give a little plug and just a little comments about your coaching staff, because I think one of the things you told us last year was that that you're a platoon style of football, which means number one, you have to have enough bodies out here represented, and with that being said, then that means the coaching staff has to also be in place to supplement the amount of seniors that you lose year in and year out. So how's your coaching staff preparing for this load as well?
Well, I'm very fortunate here at Ragsdale that I have a tremendous staff that's been with me a long time. Most of them have been here around the entire time that I've been here. Our defensive staff, Johnny Boykins, our defensive coordinator. Of course, Coach Anderson was our defensive coordinator for many years until he became the head coach at High Point Andrews.
Right.
Bobby Glasgow played for us here. Mark Pitts and Lewis Walker, they make up our defensive staff. They also have some assistants by a man by the name of Chris Sinclair.
Right.
On offense, I've coached the offensive line, and Ryan Moody and Eric Fleming and Jimmy Giles and Danny Williamson. So you can see we've got a large staff. We have 10 of us right there that I mentioned, and they just do a tremendous job week in, week out. And I'm just a small piece of the puzzle. Sometimes I'm the square one in the round hole, but all those guys who make it run.
Right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you down the road, and we're definitely going to be following you guys. I want to give a big plug to our rival competition. I think our cross-city rival, which is Southwest Guilford. So we're going to be doing a major feature on high school rivals as well. So, Coach, we're really excited, man, and we thank you for the opportunity for giving us to speak with you. And we're looking for great things from you. It's a storied tradition and a long legacy of excellence. So we're looking forward to seeing more of that.
Well, thank you a bunch, and you're always welcome.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Tommy Norwood, Ragsdale High School. All right, folks, we hope you enjoyed that segment of Friday Night Boom with Coach Norwood here at Ragsdale High School in Jamestown, North Carolina. This is our featured segment for high school football, which we're going to continue to build momentum for as we interview other coaches in the area as well as the state of North Carolina. We're very excited about what's going on with the athletes in our community and abroad, and we're also really supportive of the high school coaches, both paid and volunteers, for all of their support in generating the finest talent on the football field as well as the classroom. Friday Night Boom is our featured segment, so we hope you tune in. This is Born for Fans View Sports, reality sports show from the fans to the fans.